Good evening. It's Friday. It's 5 o'clock. And there's a whole host of people out there going, it's crackerjack. Yes, indeed. How are we all doing? I see there's a few people in already. Excuse me, I have business to attend to. And while I'm doing this, it's sort of becoming the tradition that I tell you what's coming up this week on the channel. Tomorrow, there's a solo going up, one of my own, just me having a bit of a jam, and it's sort of a country blues shred kind of thing. Imagine in an alternate universe if instead of briefly joining Deep Purple, Joe Satriani had joined the Allman Brothers. It's that kind of thing. I was surprised it worked as well. Then on Monday, an absolute belter of a classic rock solo. It's only very short, but it's a good one. And so I'll, let's put it this way: if you're a fan of Journey, you'll probably like this one. And then, I've got to tell you about this. This thing turned up. I was supposed to be doing the review this week, but the delivery didn't turn up until yesterday afternoon. What a piece of kit. This 27 quid's worth of Harley Benton or Joyo, depending upon where you buy it, pedal. And it's magnificent. It sounds brilliant, as you will hear on Tuesday. Then there's going to be another one of these beginner's guides too, might be string bending this week, and then a bunch of other things that I haven't quite finalised yet. So that's what's coming up this week. I'm on the Morrison's lager again tonight. It's not because I like it particularly well. Well, it's lager. All lager tastes identical. But, it's just that's where I'm doing my shopping at the moment. And so there you go. Tim, you got one. I'm glad you did. I actually recommended that to Tim after I'd heard one. I hadn't tried one myself, but the thing is, there are plenty of kind of pedals and multi-effects out there that will give something that sounds right. It's often difficult to get something that feels right when you're playing through it, and this does have that kind of touch sensitive kind of bit of a sag to it, like you plugged into a valve amp. It's fantastic. Craig, thanks John for the Halo guitar tip. Much delight in designing a guitar I will never own. Yes, there is that, isn't there? I'm kind of at the point now. Well, let me put it this way, right? We live in an old house. It was built in 1860 something or other, and by the time we bought it, it was just about falling to bits. And there's a moral in that story as well: never buy a house that a builder's lived in. But we took out a load of loans to kind of put a new roof on it and new cladding on the outside and new bathroom and loads of new stuff. And this month we've paid off the last of those loans, so there's money in the budget on a monthly basis now. So it's got the old noggin jogging in terms of maybe something custom built. Evening, Colin. How are you, mate? Hi, John. Do you think I need help? Already got 4 electric, 2 acoustic, 1 look at the Harley Benton TE40, and my hand went straight to the wallet. Yeah, those TE40s. That's the black one, isn't it, with the twin humbuckers and the Tunematic bridge. I had one of those and I liked it, but I could never quite get it sounding right. I'll tell you the problem I had with it, in case you're thinking. The bridge pickup is too far forward, in my opinion, too far away from the bridge, so you can never quite get. Evening, Craig. Evening, Lee. You can never quite get a proper bridge pickup sound out of it. That was the thing that I sort of struggled with it. But beautiful guitar to play, and I'm sure there is, the other thing that was a bit of an issue with me was that it was round about the end of the era when Harley Benton were using Wilkinson pickups, and they switched from Wilkinson to Roswell. And the reason they switched was because they got stung by getting fake Wilkinson. Somebody was faking Wilkinson pickups, which I thought was a bit odd. I mean, if you're going to go to the trouble of building a counterfeit pickup, then stamp Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio on it or something, But Ozzy, you like me telewiring vids, did you? Thank you. Well, yes. That is, I mean, my least favourite part of doing any kind of guitar mods is doing the soldering and the wiring. And given that, my background is in electronics, I was, an electronics engineer long before I was a guitar teacher. You would think I'd be good at it, but I always end up with burns and solder splashes all over my hands. And, there's a reason why you never see me doing videos where I'm actually soldering. It's because there's usually too much swearing. Peter Shields, my TE52 sounds amazing since a few upgrades. Amazing guitar regardless of the price. Yeah, those TE52s, if you're in the market for just a plain vanilla, bog standard, straight down the line, no frills Telecaster style guitar, I mean, it's fantastic. All I would do if I had one of those, I think I'd just leave the pickups alone, because those Roswell single coils are absolutely fine. I'd probably just throw some brass bridge saddles on it, and that'd be it. Spent a lot of time on the Iron Gear website this week. The reviews and prices for their stuff is exceptional. Yeah, I've got in that sort of bits and pieces Telecaster up there. The bridge pickup in that is the Iron Gear Steel Twin, which is an absolute beast of a pickup. So it's not your favourite job either, is it, Dan, the wiring? Yeah. The other thing is, of course, that, it's always fiddly, and, you can never quite, and, yes, I've reached that age where I've got a pair of glasses that I wear most of the time. And then I have a special pair of glasses that I have to wear for sort of close-up work like that. And it's just, it's like, okay, I'm turning into me dad. I've got to put me proper glasses on. So what you done, Pete? You put brass saddles, Graphtec nut, Goto locking tuners, and roller string trees. Yeah, all good, sensible things. I got to tell you, and this is controversial, locking tuners. Why? I don't get it. Everybody says, oh, it improves tuning stability. Oh, it makes string changes quicker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. You're an absolute gent. I will do. I'll have a couple of beers on you. Ages ago, I did a video where I had a Yamaha Pacifica with the trem all blocked off, so it was effectively a fixed bridge guitar, and I'd thrown some locking tuners on that, and I had a Telecaster with non-locking tuners, and I timed how long it took to do a complete string change, from the old strings being in tune and tuned up to tension to the new strings being in tune and tuned up to tension, stretched in and everything. And there was about 4 seconds difference in it, and it was actually the locking tuners that that took that 4 seconds longer. So I don't think they make string changes any quicker. And I never noticed any particular instability in tuning with non-locking tuners. I don't see why they are a thing, really. If you've got kind of maybe if you're using a trem and you're not wanting to use a Floyd Rose or anything like that. Locking, well, all I can tell you, Codzilla, is that locking were not any quicker when I A/B tested them with non-locking tuners. Hi, John. The vintage V58 JD Jerry Donahue is a good guitar. Best wishes from Glasgow. Thank you, Frank. Yes. I first heard of Jerry Donahue. Did anybody else see that electric guitar documentary? This is showing me age now. Back in about 1987, where he just sat there with a Telecaster. He looked like your geography teacher, didn't he? This bloke in a cardigan with like your geography teacher beard, and and just played some amazing Telecaster licks. It's not the strings, it's me that's unstable, John. Fair enough, Pete. It's the age, mate. We all get to that age. He's had a few signature guitars. He had a signature Fender for a while, but didn't. There's also a signature Fret King. I don't know if that's the same guitar that's marketed under the Vintage brand, but it's I've never played one. I've been gassing for one for a while, but like it's like going to the missus and saying, I need another Telecaster. Oh, really? Do you? I can just see there'd be, like a Prada handbag in some sort of trade-off there, Anyway, excuse me. I saw videos advising change the tunes on my Harley Benton TE20. It's never gone out of tune in 2 weeks. I love it. Yeah. Those TE20s, which is like the rock bottom, kind of about 80 quid Telecaster copy from Harley Benton. The necks on them, or the necks on the one the neck on the one that I've tried is absolutely gorgeous. Lovely thing. Hi, John. Nice to see you again, Andy. Thank you, Andy. Yes, that was it, mate. It was called Twang Bang Kerrang, that electric guitar documentary. Yes. John, flat or wound strings? Think of trying. I've never tried flat wound strings. Never ever tried them. It's it's because it's like a specialist kind of thing that you've got to make the conscious choice to go and try. Dan, your computer turned itself off, did it? We've been talking about locking tuners, Dan. I was saying, I always thought you were a bright star. Yes, thank you. Yes, I get you. Yes, I was a Sparky. A man can never have too many Telecasters. Probably just me, but I hate the Tele headstock. It is an acquired taste, I'll give you that. If you're looking at Strat headstocks and you get used to the kind of fuller shape of the Strat headstock, the Tele can look like it's had a lump chopped off. I get that, but it is what it is, and you either like it or you don't. You can either get past that or you don't. I mean, there are things that I just can't get past in terms of like Fender offset body shapes, like Jaguars and Jazzmasters and stuff like that. They just look lumpy to me. I can't get past it. John, very true. I bought a Harley Benton TE20 mainly out of curiosity because of the good reviews and never put it down. Yeah, the thing about guitars like that, right? I mean, just every time I see one, it's roughly the same sort of price as I paid for not my first electric guitar, but it was my second electric guitar. It was a Satellite Les Paul copy bought from my mother's Great Universal Stores catalogue, where I used to pay it off so much a week out of my Saturday job money. And it was awful. It was 80 quid, I think I paid for it in installments. And it was a plywood body and a horrible neck. And I've talked about this guitar many times, but the fact that you can buy, a guitar that you could at a push out and gig with these days, for the same sort of money, it's ridiculous. And what's more, no matter how much you modded that old Satellite Les Paul copy and put new pickups in it and stuff, it was always just a bad guitar. You were always, kind of trying to basically polish a turd. But these modern kind of cheap guitars like that TE20, you can turn them into something really rather nice. I've got a kind of hankering to do something like that, to see if I can turn a Harley Benton TE20 into a Richie Kotzen Telecaster. That's where I'm kind of thinking, bargain basement and kind of upgrade it, and see if you can do that or something of that ilk. I'm just kind of toying that one over, or maybe doing a kit build or something. I can see John buying the custom shop Andy Summers Telecaster at some point. Indeed, yeah. I'm just, for me, the whole kind of thing with the Telecaster with the humbucker in the neck position. I like the humbucker at the bridge because I just like that fatness there for the bridge pickup on a guitar. A Telecaster bridge pickup, single coil is kind of a nice sound. But if I'm going to have a humbucker in the guitar, I prefer it at the bridge. Is it definitely worth a punt on the TE20 being hovering for a while? Yeah, mate, just buy it. The thing is, I would put it like this: they cost about 85 quid, and if you don't like it, you'll get 50 quid for it on eBay. At least, you get 50 or 60 quid. So it's costing you the price of a takeaway to try it out. Yeah, put a Hot Rails in the bridge. Yes, you could do that. But the other thing is, as I said about, I did a video about deal makers and deal breakers, 2 videos. And one thing that I absolutely adore in a guitar is a neck single coil pickup. It's the reason I got the you can't see it in shot at the moment. It's the reason I got the Gordon Smith with, rather than 2 humbuckers, bridge humbucker and neck single coil. I love that sort of neck single coil, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Dave Gilmour, Hendrixy kind of tone, and I feel like I'm missing something if I don't have that. Flat wound strings don't make noise when you slide up the neck. Fair enough. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I should try. There's a video in that somewhere. Yes. Watch this space. Telly Hot Rails Bridge P90 neck. Yes, now I am a fan of a P90. I tell you the pickup that I really, really love. And it was in that other Harley Benton Telly I had, the one that's the Cabernet, is those Filtertron style pickups, because for me they've got the spank and the sparkle of a single coil, but you've got the fatness and the raunch of a humbucker as well. They are what most people talk about when they talk about that kind of halfway house between a humbucker and a single coil, in a P90. But the thing about a Filtertron is it's a similar kind of sound. It's a slightly different flavor of sound. It's a similar kind of sound, but it's a humbucker, so it's noiseless. Steve James guitars in Saltburn has some nice Gordon Smiths in at the moment. Does he now? It's only 5 minutes on the train from our house to Saltburn. I might just have to have a Toby on through there. Aye. I have a Revelation 335 and it's excellent. Yep. That's another video that's coming up this week, by the way. We're doing this series of videos that I've started doing just on a whim, really. Well, on a suggestion from a student, which is, alternatives to a Telecaster and a Les Paul and a Strat and stuff. It's alternatives to a 335 this week. And then it's going to be alternatives the week after next. It's going to be Flying V alternatives. I've got a mate who's like a massive petrol head and a massive Judas Priest fan. He doesn't play guitar, but he's always nagging me to get a Flying V so I can kind of look like KK Downing, although there is something else missing if I'm going for that look, really, isn't there? I put an Iron Gear P90 Platinum pickups in my Les Paul Special project. They sound great and not a bad price. I think, yeah, those Iron Gear pickups. I tell you what's a good one of those is the the Tesla shark. It's quite a clever piece of marketing, because if you take the last three letters of Tesla, SLA, and the first two letters of shark, SH, SLASH, it kind of tells you whose tone you're kind of getting close to there. They are a brilliant alternative to the Seymour Duncan Alnico Pro 2s, which is what Slash used for many years before getting his own signature pickups. Have you thought about a tutorial explaining unison bends? Well, I have got, as I said at the beginning of the stream tonight, I have got a video on, beginner's guide to, and it's probably going to be string bends this week. You could see me with a flying V, could you, John? Yes. Had one. Well, not an actual flying V, but the Harley Benton equivalent. It came through. It was part of that Guitars for Good Causes kind of thing. And they do take a bit of getting used to. And in the time I had it, I was starting to get used to it. That kind of thing where you've got to kind of wedge it between you on your thigh there to play it, and kind of play it like everything's a bit further that way as a result. So. It's just, in terms of sound, the only thing that I would say about a flying V, and I can't speak definitively on this because I haven't done a wide enough sample test, but it's the fact that they're made of carina. And as I said in the video yesterday, I've had two PRS SE single cuts in here. One was like the regular one, and one was the carina one, and identical pickups, identical everything apart from the timber it was made from. And something, I'm not getting into the whole tone wood kind of thing at the moment, but something about that carina guitar just made it sound absolutely gorgeous. It had a warmer, more transparent, more just kind of vintage Les Paul kind of tone, actually. It was a beautiful guitar, very plain to look at, in compared to the mahogany maple kind of tiger stripe sunburst kind of thing. But carina, is what the Flying V's were made from, obviously, and Explorers as well. I'm kind of thinking about that Harley Benton Explorer copy. My Squire Vintage Modified Cabernet Precision Bass has a Fender Filtertron pickup installed as stock and sounds very bright. Though the nylon tape-wound strings mellow out. Fair enough. Yes, I didn't know there was a bass equivalent of a Filtertron pickup. Fair enough. Which would you choose for a good Les Paul copy between the Harley Benton SC550 or the vintage V100? Right. Okay. I haven't had the SC550, but I've had the vintage V100 and I've had the SC450, and there was very little to choose between them. If I was pushed, I would say I kind of preferred the neck on the vintage. The Harley Benton was a nice guitar, and it scratched that Les Paul itch for a moment. I have this kind of thing with Les Pauls where I don't own a Les Paul or a Les Paul style guitar, and I think I should get a Les Paul, so I get one or something of that ilk, and then I love it for a fortnight, and then kind of start getting it's a big old cumbersome lump of timber, and it doesn't balance right, and or it doesn't on my ample frame anyway. And it ends up kind of getting used less and less, and then eventually finds its way through the door. But I think the vintage, I would say, is kind of, it wins it by a hair. Kieran's in. How are you, Kieran? At the Ibanez factory in Fujigen, they play classical music to the wood in the storeroom. Really? Have you ever owned or fancied owning a Gretsch 6120 guitar, John? No, I had one of the cheap Gretches in here. I think it was the Streamliner as part of the Guitars for Good Causes thing. And it was the weirdest thing. It really was, because it feels like you're playing a big Dreadnought style acoustic, the thickness of the body and just, and it sounds like an acoustic guitar when you play it. But you're getting this electric guitar tone. It's the nearest I can describe it is it's like suddenly you start speaking and someone else's voice is coming out of your mouth. It's a bit like that. Excuse me. Dealing with the hay fever is strong today. I've spent so much money chasing the tone I've dreamed about, and I've found my heaven guitar, Squire Classic vibe with ironstone gold pickups, not to be confused with iron gear. Yeah, I mean, those Squire Classic vibes, I mean, what can you say about them? They are absolute top guitars for the money. I think, here's my prediction. Watch me be wrong. You know how those late 80s, early 90s Japanese Fender vintage reissue guitars? I had a Strat from that series and foolishly let it go. You know how they've become like really collectible and sought after? I think that at some point Fender are going to kind of chuck all the dice up in the air and see where it lands, and they'll end the Classic Vibe series. And when they do, Classic Vibes are going to become a collectible guitar, I think. Because they're just, what can you say about them that's not positive? They are brilliantly made guitars and a little bit pricey compared to, for instance, we were talking about the Harley Benton TE52 earlier, with a little bit of, maybe a little bit of kind of setup work and stuff and whatever, just a little bit of tweaking. The TE52 is as good, I think, as the Classic Vibe Telly. But, a brand name carries a lot of weight, doesn't it? And I think the Squire Classic Vibes are, I hate to use this expression because it's a bit of a cliche, but, future classics, maybe. Yes, Ozzy, the only negative with my Harley Benton Telly is that third-party pick guards don't fit because it's slightly out in all dimensions. Yes, but a quick search on a well-known internet auction site, as they always say on Wheeler Dealers. Anybody watch that? And we found this replacement carburetor on a well-known internet auction site. Oh, which one was that then? A quick search on said website will get you to many vendors who supply replacements for Harley Benton guitars. That's all. I can't. I ordered one of the tortoiseshell pick guard that was on the. Yeah, funny. A tortoiseshell pick guard. Yeah. The tortoiseshell pick guard that was on the Cabronita Harley Benton thing that I had. That was off eBay. So just search replacement Harley Benton pick guards, and you'll find plenty of vendors who do them for you. John, are Kent Armstrong pickups any good? Yes, they are. I was talking earlier on about about that awful satellite Les Paul copy that I had. The stock pickups in it were absolutely awful. Cheap, nasty, awful single coil pickups inside humbucker covers that were made from Pepsi cans, I seem to remember. So I got a set of Kent Armstrong pickups on that, and that got me gigging. That was in my first band back in the early 1980s. They've been going that long. Well, and Dan Armstrong, his dad was quite the thing as well. He used to have those little effects things that was it the purple peaker that used to kind of just plug straight into the guitar. Got my son Classic Vibe Gold 60th Anniversary Strat. Great guitar. He won't sell it either. Nice. Yes. Yes. Dearie me. I mean, that's the thing these days. It's easy to forget, isn't it? And I'm going to sound like the one of the four Yorkshiremen on the Monty Python sketch, but you know, you can buy a Fender guitar now almost as your first guitar. You know, all right, it'll probably be a Squire, but it's still got the word Fender written on it somewhere. And that was a pipe dream. You know, that was when I were a lad. You dreamed that one day you might own a Fender, and you know you'd go into in my case it was Middlesbrough Music Centre, and stare longingly at the Strat that was up on the wall, you know, behind the counter, so you couldn't get your grubby paws on it. Where are we? No, John's not on his second pint. John's on his third pint, I'll have you know, and there's a curry turning up at 7 o'clock. Yes, Bengal spice, the chicken tikka balti with onion bhajis, mushroom pilau rice and chapatis. That's you can tell it's Friday. Torman even sell pickguard sheets of plastic so you can make your own. Yeah, a cautionary tale there. Have you ever tried to cut that stuff? It is an absolute mare to cut. And by the time you've, you know, kind of got the nice beveled edge on you know, using like a kind of router blade to kind of get the beveled edge on it and everything, it is an absolute nightmare to cut that sort of stuff. It's just, I mean, I think I paid about 20 quid for the Harley Benton pickguard that I got replaced, and to me that was just worth it. I mean, it's just cutting pickguard material. It is absolutely awful stuff to work with. I put a generic 3-ply pickguard on my ST20. It fit, but I had to plug in new screw holes and drill to fix it on. Yeah. Now, you'll remember perhaps that I had this kind of deal with a pickup company. I never actually did the video. There were S&S windings, these bipolar pickups. Darryl Braun did a video on them, actually, where you basically get a pre-wired pickguard, and the pickups are a kind of quite clever idea, really. So you've got you can split the pickups in half. So you've got the bass side of the pickups and the treble side of the pickups. Great idea, badly executed because I got 2 sets from them and both were defective. That's why I didn't do the video. But they sent them out just on a pre-wired Strat pickguard, and they were going, and I just dropped them into that Harley Benton Strat copy there. And they just dropped straight in, you know, all the holes lined up and everything. So I just, you know, they didn't know I was dropping them into a Harley Benton. They just sent me a generic Strat pickguard. You know, it was the you know, not the 8-hole one, but was it the 11-hole one? I can't remember. Deco dude, John, I have a curry on a Friday now, thanks to you. Yeah, Darryl Braun's channel. He is, you know, he's a canny player. I'll give him that, and he, you know, he does very informative videos. If I had one criticism of Darryl, it's that you just know when you first click on the video that whatever he's reviewing is going to be a fantastic review. I can only assume. I mean, I trust the guy. You know, I trust his integrity. I trust that it's like if he gets a stinker of a product, he just doesn't make the video. So, you know, which is kind of like me, really. I mean, that's why I didn't do those S&S winding pickups, the video on those. So it's it would be just nice to kind of hear him slag something off from time to time. He's such a nice guy. You just kind of think, go on, Daryl, say something nasty. Go on, lad. You know. Just took delivery of a Squire Starcaster. Needed a hollow body and my spine is wrecked. My Jazzmaster feels like it weighs a ton since I've done my back in. Bought on a whim last night. Cheers, John. Okay, well, cheers yourself. Yeah, the Starcaster. Now, there's a guitar from Fender's past that they kind of... it was like they were embarrassed about it for a while because they reissued everything else and never bothered with the Starcaster. And now they've done it, which is... Sean's in. How are you, Sean? You sold your 70s style HSS vintage modified Strat for the... Nice one. Good for you, mate. Yeah, they are the Starcaster. It is a particular look, isn't it? It's one of those that it's like, it's a bit of an ugly duckling, but it's kind of so wrong it's right, if you know what I mean. I wish to bring one back in. Does anybody remember the Fender Antigua finish? That sort of, it looks like a sunburst, but it's not a sunburst because you can't see the wood grain. Dan's having a Friday fry up, dearie mate. Yeah, we save that in this house for the Sunday morning. Sunday morning, let me tell you about Sunday morning in this house. Up at daft o'clock, 5:30. That's just what time we get up in this house because we have a border collie. And cup of coffee, out for a walk with the dog, long walk with the dog, and then it's back home for bacon, egg, sausage, beans, tomatoes, mushrooms, hash browns, fried bread, beans, and if there's any in the freezer, a bit of fried haggis as well. And that's Sunday morning breakfast. And you know what, funnily enough, I rarely need any lunch on a Sunday. I'm very taken with a purple Classic Vibe metallic Jazzmaster with gold anodized scratch plate. Well, good for you, mate. I've been quite open about the fact that there is just something about that offset body shape on Jazzmasters and Mustangs and stuff that I can't get away with. The only Fender offset guitar that I do have a soft spot for, and I would buy one if I saw it and the price was right, is the Music Master, because it was the first ever Fender guitar I ever got me paws on. Back in my college days, there was a lad at college who had a Fender Music Master, and it was like I was actually in the same room as an actual Fender guitar, and he let me play it, and it was, oh, dear me, I've played a real Fender. But, where are we? McCormack's Glasgow, late 70s, nose pressed to the glass, black Les Paul Deluxe drool. Ended up with a Columbus copy. Kids spoil these days. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, just thinking, back when I was at school, the school had its own electric guitar that they used to use for school concerts and stuff. And it was, I think it was a K, just a horrid thing, like a K Strat copy, badly made and badly put together. It was a horrible guitar. But you used to plug that into the speakers in the main hall in the school assembly room, and and that's what it was played through. But recently, mid sort of 2000s, I was going around schools doing guitar lessons, doing, like, what do they call it, peripatetic teaching. And one of the schools I was in, the school electric guitar was a Fender Stratocaster. And I'm not talking a made in Mexico Stratocaster. I'm talking about a American Standard Stratocaster. The school had bought for the kids to play an American Standard Stratocaster, and it was getting plugged into, I think it was some Fender solid state amp as well. And it's like, dearie me, times have changed. I wouldn't have played truant if there was a Fender Stratocaster in my school. Hi, John. Got a Gretsch 5320T with a Bigsby trem. Any tips on keeping them in tune? And do you know if you get a lighter spring for them? Not sure about the spring, but two things for keeping it in tune. Lots and lots of graphite in the nut slots. First of all, make sure, in fact, just get a graphite nut put on it. And get the string butler, which is that thing which, you just Google string butler, you can see what it means, but it corrects the break angle of the strings over the nut to make it more of a straight string pull, and it keeps it in tune a lot better. I had an Epiphone loose seal and had to take it to be fixed. I said that maybe I'd not have the problem if I'd bought the Gibson. The luthier said no. Yeah. Gibson come in for a lot of flack. There was that whole Mark Agnesi video from, it's getting on a while now, but, that sort of hectoring tone that they took in that video didn't please a lot of people, me included. And the quality control has been lacking in recent years. It has to be said. But I do love the sound of Gibson guitars. I don't. They have blotted the copybook a little bit in recent years, and I'm not a Gibson hater, but just think about all of the classic albums and classic songs and classic tracks and classic solos that we would have not had if it hadn't been for Gibson guitars. That's all I will say. The other thing that kind of rankles me about them is that they are a mass production facility. They make guitars in huge numbers compared to someone like Bennett, Crimson Guitars, or Gordon Smith or whatever. And when when a company's charging handmade prices for production line guitars, I kind of get a little bit irksome about that. But might treat the wife to Bengal spice tonight since you mentioned it. Good for you, Sean. Good for you. Anyway, are you familiar with the Fender American Classic VG Strat? It was popular around 2007. It's a wonderful guitar and has two extra control knobs to change the modeling on it. Yeah, that was when everybody was jumping into the digital bandwagon, wasn't it? I know of the guitar, but I can't say I've ever played one. It was when Line 6 brought out the what was it called? The what was that guitar called? They called the somebody remind me, that Line 6 modeling guitar. Variax, that's it. Now I played one of those. And here's the thing about that, okay? You could dial it in and get a Strat tone out of it, or a Les Paul tone out of it, or a Telecaster tone out. All of the usual suspects. All of those sounds were in there, and they were. Yeah, John, that's the fourth pint. Just saying, yes, it is, and there's another 8 in the fridge as well, and we'll see how many are left tomorrow. That Variax, it did pretty good versions of all of the sounds that it sought to emulate. But the one thing was, it didn't feel like the guitars you were playing. And that brought it home to me how much the feel of a guitar really kind of affects how that guitar sounds. For instance, a Telecaster, if you've got the string through bridge, just that increased string tension is what makes you dig in and play harder on a Telecaster. and that informs the sound that you get from it. You know, and all of that kind of, all of those different sort of feels of the different guitars were all kind of missing. You were just playing this kind of rather bland feeling, you know, kind of 25.5-inch Fender scale length guitar that didn't really kind of respond in the way that a Les Paul would respond, or a Telecaster would respond, and that sort of made it feel a bit weird. I'm sure it's something you get used to, but that was the thing with you know, kind of modelling guitars. Beer cures hay fever. Is that a fact? Right. Well, okay. I've consulted my medical advisor, and Harley Benton crap. Fair enough. Well, someone's let the troll in. Having recently started making my own guitar, it makes me really appreciate how reasonable Gordon Smith guitars really are. They're fantastic value for money. Well, yes, they are, and no, they're not. In absolute terms, like I did the video on the Les Paul Juniors, was it yesterday? You know, you can buy a Les Paul Junior style guitar from Harley Benton for, you know, under 200 quid. If you want to buy the Gordon Smith version, it's about £1,000. So in that sort of term, they are, you know, not value for money, but in terms of what you're getting, in terms of a hand-built guitar, you know, compared to, you know, certain other boutique makers, then, you know, they're fantastic. It's like, you know, you comparing a Harley Benton with a Gordon Smith is a bit like comparing, you know, Kia, which is a car that will get you from one place to another, and you know it will kind of you'll be in reasonable comfort and it'll do the job, with, I don't know, an Aston Martin or, you know, something of that ilk. They both do the same job. I'm considering buying a Yamaha Revstar, John. Have you tried one? No, I haven't, but you know, it's got Yamaha written on it, so it'll be bulletproof and it'll work underwater. You know, just have you played any Music Man guitars, John? I like the look, but never played one. Yes, I have, and they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. You know, just fantastic guitars. You know, they are what PRS is to Gibson. You know, you can tell that Paul Reed Smith kind of took Gibson's design and evolved it and ran with it and created a boutique guitar out of it. Well, that is kind of what Music Man are to Fender. I was very, very lucky enough to spend quite a bit of time at a guitar show in the early 90s, actually, playing the then reasonably new Music Man Steve Morse guitar, and what an instrument that was. I was on the Music Man stand, and it was like kind of, for some reason, whoever had laid this guitar show out, they'd put Music Man in a kind of an alcove down a corridor, kind of up some stairs, and you know, it was tucked away out of the way basically, and people weren't getting a lot of passing trade. So I was playing this Music Man Steve Morse guitar, and what a guitar! What an absolute beast of a guitar it was. Beautifully made, beautiful sound. And then I picked up the Music Man Silhouette that was next to it and had some time on that. And then along comes this bloke, said, "Excuse me, I kind of need that guitar." And I look around, it's Albert Lee. Albert Lee is stood next to me, you know. And because he was going to go down into one of the main theatres and kind of demonstrate this guitar, and that was his Silhouette. I played the Silhouette that Albert Lee was going to play. Yes, they are fantastic guitars. John was in Right Said Fred, I believe. I look like it, don't I? Yes, I could be in a Right Said Fred tribute band, couldn't I? Used to do one of their songs in a band years ago in one of the cabaret bands I was in, Deeply Dippy. Dearie me. That's, excuse me, the dog's barking. Somebody's probably rung the doorbell. Guitar snobbery was hurried out the window when me married Andy Cowling asked by a top producer, "Lovely acoustic, Andy, what is it?" Andy said, in all seriousness, it's me mum's. Like your swimming cap, John. No, this is all me. I'm fortunate enough to own a Martin Booth Classic. Yes, you are fortunate. There you go. I mean, Martin Booth didn't he do guitars for Yamaha at some point? I think Duncan Goodhue, yes. Deeply Dippy, it's not a bad tune, actually. Yes, Con, you're not bad. You're not wrong there, mate. It's just good old-fashioned quality pop. Owned plenty of Gibson's. Late 70s RD artist was, yes, it was. That was the one with all the Moog synth sort of stuff in it, wasn't it? Am I right in remembering you actually grow a full head of hair? You just prefer to shave it off? Yeah, the whole thing with the bald head is that I've had this on-off relationship with alopecia throughout my life, and I had a bout of it a few years ago, and well, how long have I been bald now? About 2.5, 3 years ago, and I had this bout of alopecia, and I just got frustrated and shaved it all off, and then this is the way I've stayed. John USA guitar news shortage. Have you any news? No. Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I don't have any news. You know, with the whole kind of lockdown and factories being closed and, you know, what have you, it doesn't surprise me that there's been a shortage of guitars, but, you know, there you go. I'm sure things will get back to normal. I'm sure they will. You know, I was reading a thing in the paper the other day. I don't want to get onto current affairs on this because, you know, that's not what this is about. But I was reading a thing in the paper the other day where they were talking about a V-shaped recovery, you know, kind of like there's a dip and then it comes back. And apparently we are on course for that. You know, the early signs are good. So, you know, I'm sure things will get kind of back to... yes, John wore a wig while judging it. I've got the wig here, actually. Here we go. Do you want to see me with hair? Fair enough. There you go. Now, I bet you're all thinking, by that Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen's let himself go, hasn't he? Horrid thing. I was itching for hours after I made that video. What flavour vape have you got there? I have currently just got sort of plain tobacco flavour because I sort of alternate between... there's a flavour that comes from the local vape shop called Cafe Tobacco, which is like a sort of a chocolatey coffee kind of thing, and then I alternate between that and just plain tobacco, and that's what I've got in at the moment. Shut up, Steve. Long time since I heard his name. Yes, he's currently doing, actually, I saw him on the telly the other day, Lawrence Llewellyn Boyne. He's currently doing adverts for a company called Victorian Plumbing. Now, here's the thing. There are two, Victorian Plumbing are a company in the UK which supply bathrooms, basically. You know, kind of your new shower unit, your new basin, your new bath unit, whatever. And there's another company called Victoria Plum. And the two names are just too similar to be a coincidence. And I reckon what's happened is that there was a bust-up somewhere in a boardroom. And it's like, well, fine, I'll go and do my own company then. And, you know, the people who kind of left Victoria Plum. Victoria Plum sounds like, you know, a kind of a cute little name. It could be a Beatrix Potter character, couldn't it? You know, and somebody flounced out and said, well, I'll go and do my own company then. And, you know, Victorian Plumbing. But it just sends entirely the wrong message, doesn't it? It's like, you know, Victorian Plumbing. It's a tin bath and an outside toilet. You know? And yes, Francis Dunnery is awesome. Whatever happened to It Bites? I had that album years ago, Big Lad in the Windmill. What do I think of Rory Gallagher? He was absolutely stellar. I mean, what else can you say about Rory? What about a round of one-hit wonder guitar solos, for example, Spooky by Atlanta Rhythm Section? Now, there's an idea. Yes. Indeed, yes. I was thinking about that, actually, because, you know, I am a child of the 70s, as you can probably tell. A child of the 60s, actually, but I grew up in the 70s. And every song in the charts had a guitar solo back then. It was just de rigueur. You had a guitar solo. And a lot of them were one-hit wonders. So I was thinking, yeah, let's do a 70s one-hit wonder guitar solo video at some point. Dunnery played with Robert Plant for a while. There you go. The ideas are getting more random now. Indeed, they are. And we've been at it almost an hour, chaps. So thank you once again for turning up. I'm always a little bit apprehensive just before I hit that go live button. I'm always wondering if anybody's going to turn up, if I'm going to sit here for an hour and talk to myself. It has been known. Thank you, everyone, for turning up. I'm going to go and get some more beer and insult the porcelain and wait for me curry to arrive. Thanks, everyone. It's been a blast, as per usual. Great stuff. See you all next week. Loads of great videos between now and then. I'm going to go and get some more beer. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you all next time around. Bye for now.